Okay, good afternoon, people, and welcome to Lecture 3. We want to discuss Lecture 3 in software project management. Now, this lecture, we are going to look at computer schedule preparation. At this point, we have established the point that using a computer in project management is very cardinal and also very, very important for someone to be efficient, fast, and very effective. So now, there are certain things that need to be done when preparing the computer for installation and also for the use in the project management. So today's topic is computer schedule preparation. So now when the computer is properly installed and fully tested, the first step in setting up the computer schedule for a new project is to prepare and input all the data. So this is what is expected right from the onset. But once the software is installed on the computer and is fully tested, it's working, the first thing to do is to set it up and also prepare the data for input. So regardless of the method used to enter the data, the information can be classified into four mini groups. And these are project data, which is the bundle of the data that sets up the project file and contains the many details about the project. Okay. And then secondly, we've got current information, from which one or more calendars file will be set up, as we'll see later on. And then thirdly, we've got resource data, which is used if resource scheduling is to be performed. So we'll see also when studying practical work that if you want to prepare some resource leveling, you must be able to use this facility and able to enter the data needed for the resource leveling. And then the last one, the fourth one, is activity records, with one record for each activity in the network, including its description, duration, and other direct related items. Right. So four things: the project data, current information, resource data, and also the activity records. So now let's begin with the project data. Mostly in this data, okay, consists of information which has to be entered only once when each new file is opened. But the information includes project number, the title, number of project manager, and the like. While in the current information, almost all the project management software allows more than one calendar to be set up and held as a calendar file. So this aspect is very important for a project management activity because you have different calendar, different activities. Other people, they work for 4 days, okay, in a week, excluding Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Others, they work 5 days, excluding Sunday and Saturday. Others, they work throughout without any day being excluded. So we need to set up this calendar so that we can follow it and schedule the days that are working and days that are not going to work. So the main calendar should include all days except those days on which work may not be scheduled, like weekends. So care must be taken when entering dates in numerical form to ensure that confusion between American and other conventions does not create errors. Okay, so work duration are guided by units defined in the calendar, which should be clear as we look at the practical aspect of this. Right, so schedules are calculated with the help of the calendar. So if we want to come up with a work schedule, we must set up a calendar that will suffice in your arrangement. Right. Now the project date time is important to give the computer a datum point from which it will begin the project. This is usually done by fixing a scheduled start date on the first project activity or event. So then the scheduled dates for the targets are fixed on activities where, anywhere in the network to control the start or end of the activity that we're going to look at. Okay. So for example, as an example, the schedule, probably this is a network diagram, right, which we're going to be developing later on using this software, which we'll discuss later on. So you see, we are talking about the start, okay, the start and the end date, right? So this, the start, and we're talking about what? The end. So this has to be fixed in advance so that you can actually fix any dates in between what? In between the start and the end date. Hence the importance of current information, project data information, record activity record information, and also resource data. But most especially, the current information plays a vital role in coming up with a nice schedule, as you can see here on the screen. So now resource data, this is required if the computer software is going to carry out resource level scheduling or produce a cost report based on the cost rate of resources. So if you want to produce the budget of the project or want to produce a resource leveling or schedule, you must be able to enter the resource data. So now resource data mainly comes in two types. There's what we call mandatory resource data and the one that we're going to see later on. So now the following data must be entered for each of the resource considered necessary for scheduling. So as you are doing mandatory resource data, you must be able to take care of these items. Resource code, very, very important. And also the resource name, you must be able to supply the computer with that. Then normal availability, we are talking about those things I've discussed, the start date and the end date and the duration. These are supposed to be entered because they're the must. The computer will reject if you don't enter them. So since we said there are two types of resource data, which the first one is mandatory resource data. Now the second one is optional resource data. As you can see, the name itself suggests that this can be ignored. Okay, because it is just nice to have or to do. Because with this information, the computer, okay, will still perform well, will produce a schedule for resources. Without them, the software still produces what? The schedule. But just to be comprehensive, you must be able to enter these information by calendar, okay, the cost rates, right, the threshold resources, the cost rate constants. All these can be ignored or can be supplied according to your needs. Now let's talk about activity records. Activity records, this is the bulk of the data to be entered before the first run. It is among these data that must input, okay, that most input errors are likely to pop up. So it's a very important data that need to be set up in the computer. We'll see why, because even this one has two types. There is what we call mandatory activity data and optional activity data. So just like resource data, this also includes things like activity numbers, the IDs, the types of precedence, the estimated activity duration as applicable to the specified project calendar. And then the optional data sometimes which can be ignored, it involves description of the activity, which you'll see sometimes you can skip that part. Or if you want, you can enter it so that you can have the comprehensive work schedule. And then alternative durations, okay, they can also skip, editing, sorting codes, and the like. Right? All these. So this is under what you call optional activity data. So basically what you're saying is, for the computer to work for the first time, take care of what? Profits, the project data, current information, very, very important for you to base the schedule on, and also resource data. If you want to produce a budget, okay, if you want to come up with a schedule, you need to have the resource data inputted. Activity data, very, very important. It complements the project data, right? Because activity data, basically we're talking about those activities that will be done on the events, so need to be entered as they are. Right. So this is it for the first lecture, people. I would like you to go through it, look at it, understand understand these items that we've looked at, and as we start practical, will become very real and also very useful. Thanks.